And ladies and gentlemen, I have the privilege in inviting our distinguished session chair onto the stage, Mr. Kishore Bhagtani, DDGDS, Department of Telecommunication. Let's put our hands together, ladies and gentlemen, to welcome Mr. Bhagtani. I also have the privilege of inviting eminent speakers, Mr. Rishi Ghare, CEO, Indio Networks, Mr. Srinivas Gudipudi, founder and CEO, MatreComm Technologies, and Mr. Sumit Garg, managing director, Immunity Networks. Ladies and gentlemen, this technical session 1 centered on the theme of vital national importance, PM-WANI, the catalyst for rural connectivity and digital inclusion. This initiative is one of the Government of India's boldest steps to democratize internet access and bridge the digital divide in underserved and rural areas. And to chair the session, we are honored to have with us Mr. Kishore Bhagtani, Deputy Director General at Department of Telecommunications. And may I hand over to you, sir?
Good afternoon. Welcome to this first technical session of this World Wi-Fi Day conference. And the theme of this session is very apt. I mean, if I can borrow the cliched phrase, it is the need of the hour. Now, we already know that the proliferation of broadband across the length and breadth of the country was a key ingredient for Digital India initiative of India, of the Government of India. And with this aim to accelerate the proliferation of broadband in urban landscape as well as in the rural areas, the Union Cabinet has approved the PM-WANI framework in December of 2020. And immediately after that, in the early parts of 2021, this PM-WANI framework had come into being. And there had been initial bit of hiccups, if I could use the words, but eventually it picked up. But the kind of growth that we would have, that was expected or was anticipated, it never got to those numbers. There were few of the issues that were reported. Many of these issues have now been taken care of. But the prime objective of this entire PM-WANI scheme was that it was the first public Wi-Fi, digital public Wi-Fi network scheme that was given by the Government of India. And it was extremely, it was de-licensed. Obviously, it was working on a ISM bands. It was extremely, it was literally scalable, completely scalable in the form that you could have added the PM-WANI hotspots at the places you wanted. And most importantly, that it was without any sort of licensing threats that were attached to it. So the best part of this is, now if you look at the 4 key players that are there in this PM-WANI framework, which are the PDO, PDOA, the app provider, and the central registry, and the one that is giving the services to the end customer is the PDO, which is the basic Wi-Fi hotspot provider. Now, the basic Wi-Fi hotspot provider doesn't have to register, leave aside taking a license from the DOT. Now, I think that would be the only service that the Department of Telecommunication is providing where the end telecom service provider is not having any sorts of licensing requirement from the department. So the PDO is totally free from it. All sorts of technical, financial, or regulatory requirements or compliances, he's free from it. The technical and the security compliances that we get it fulfilled through the PDOA, but PDO per se is not subjected to any kind of license. But now coming to the PDOA part, now the PDOA, yes, they are registered with the department. The app providers, again, they are registered with the department. I'm not going to go into the entire framework of the PM-WANI because I hope that since most of you are already familiar with that, and my earlier speakers have spoken quite a bit on that, so I'm not going to speak on that much. But the point remains is that there were a few issues that I was narrating, that the numbers of PM-WANI since its inception have not been that great. The numbers were not to our expectations. Now, there were a number of issues that were also reported, and the department has taken a proactive stand. And in the September 2024, the department has come with a slew of reforms, if I can use that word, wherein number of modifications have been done in the PM-WANI framework. The first and foremost was that there was a requirement of PDO having a commercial agreement with the local ISP and TSP, and that resulted in the local ISP, TSPs going for a lease line sort of a model, which obviously is financially non-viable from the day one because of the high costs that are there. So that we have changed and very clearly written that this particular backhaul could be on a normal retail FTTH. Now, if you look at the other part, I mean, parallelly we had sent this entire reference to the TRAI also for mandating something on this, for putting a ceiling on that, and the TRAI 16th has already come up with a TTO. You would have already seen it. On 16th of June, they have come with the TTO that the maximum tariff the ISP or TSP can charge up to the 200 Mbps could not be more than double the charge which it is taking from the retail customer. So there is a clear ceiling now that have been put in place. The second most important thing was that initially there was a bit of a confusion that each PDO need to have a separate backhaul, and now that particular confusion was actually again removed in this particular 16th September 2024 guidelines which were issued by DOT, wherein we very clearly stated that the PDO is free to put in number of Wi-Fi hotspots, can aggregate them, and from one place it can take that Wi-Fi backhaul from any of the TSP or ISPs. Now, apart from that, we had allowed that there can be a roaming, because we already know that the PDO, although they are existing, but they are sort of an islands among themselves, that from one PDO to another within a PDOA area, it is possible to roam around, the same voucher can work, but if you move from one PDOA to another PDOA area, there are issues. The voucher would not work, the roaming is not seamless, obviously. So that particular, again, was taken care, and it has been allowed there. It has been very clearly stated that you can have a number of, you can have a third-party platform also, which could provide these sort of services. Here I would urge all the PDOAs, then they can come together and can have a third party, maybe the CDOT can be roped in for this one, wherein this sort of a roaming facility should be there among the PDOAs. So that is one part that was again allowed. And the other part that was allowed in these slew of reforms that were taken up was that it allowed that even the home routers which we are using there, you can always put in the second SSID, which was the once SSID is for your home usage, the normal retail FTTH works that you're doing, and the other SSID was for the purpose of this PM-WANI, and which could have earned you some money out of that. Yes, there was a requirement that the router which you're using should be PM-WANI enabled, and you need to have a tie-up with a PDOA. Now, apart from that, the other 2 or 3 things that we allowed was that we have allowed the mobile offload. Now here I would really urge the PDOAs again that the bigger PDOAs which are having a larger number of footprints, they can always approach to the TSPs and can show a value in this particular proposition that mobile data offload, if you'll provide, that is going to free their IMT bandwidth, and some part of revenue you can earn from that also. So that even that was allowed there. And yes, one more thing that we also allowed, that you could always push the advertisements to that could be a source of revenue to the app providers as well as to the captive page that you are having, informing the customer regarding the tariff charges or initial KYC also. So those few things that we have allowed, and we hope that by taking care of these small things but which were proving a hindrance for the growth of PM-WANI, we had taken few steps, and the most important part was this particular TRAI tariff order now, which has put a ceiling firmly there. So with these kind of steps which the DOT has taken, and this rather before these this TRAI guideline itself, after September of 2024 guidelines, we had seen there is almost a 35% rise in the number of PDOs, absolute number in PDOs in the country. But I would not be that much enthusiastic with these numbers of 35% because the absolute count still remains much low. And there we would really like that the PDOAs have to play a larger role. They have to literally handhold the PDOs and will have to take them along with them. I mean, you cannot, if I could use that word, you cannot fleece the PDO, because eventually if the PDOs are going to earn money, then only the PDOA is going to earn money. In that way, I'm lucky that I'm having on the dais with me the 3 PDOAs only, and so they will be telling the PM-WANI things from their perspective, and I hope to gain some insights from this. And in this regard, I will not take much of your time, and so I will request Mr. Rishi to come and present his perspective. Right, thank you.
Everyone, my name is Rishi Ghare. I'm the founder and CEO of Indio Networks. Just wanted to tell you a little bit about Indio Networks. We are a company with an Indian heart, but a global mind. What I mean by that is we are trying to innovate in India, what we call as frugal innovation, using some of the latest, greatest technologies available in the market, and that too, a lot of it from the open source. We are a member of Telecom Infra project, which is actually building the next generation technologies in connectivity space. The primary one that we are incorporating is called Open Wi-Fi and Open LAN switch. Similarly, we are a member of Wireless Broadband Alliance, and we are trying to adopt open roaming in Indian context. And we are also a member of PM-WANI. Indio Networks is silently working for last 20 years in the Wi-Fi connectivity space, powering networks, almost 100,000 networks worldwide today, and serving more than 50 million users. So there is a silent work that has been happening all along these years, and we are really proud to be a member of the PM-WANI fraternity and trying to see how we can innovate in this particular ecosystem and create solutions that are unique for India and which we can take it to the world. So I wanted to take a pledge today. We are here to connect the unconnected. Can you go to the next slide? So we all know 4G is everywhere in India, but it's still a challenge. I personally have traveled to interior parts of India where I've struggled to connect to my mobile, send my emails, and we all must have experienced it, especially when we go into the interior parts of the country. And I believe that today Wi-Fi is one of the best options available for the last mile connectivity. I personally have encountered this, and we strongly believe that we can create a Wi-Fi based solutions for the last mile connectivity, especially in our villages. Why I believe so? Because the technology has matured to an extent that we can now build reliable, fast, and secure networks with a very low cost infrastructure in these villages. And the two notable technologies that we are looking at is our UBR technology, or point-to-point connectivity, or point-to-multipoint connectivity, which we are building, and also the meshing technology that is used. So if you look at a technology today like PM-WANI, or we want to take Wi-Fi to the villages, I see there are two main challenges. One is the network, and second is a business model that will enable that network to make money, right? If these two things, if you don't have a reliable network and you cannot make money on that network, I don't think any program is going to succeed. And we are trying to address those two primary aspects of PM-WANI. So first is networks. How will you build reliable networks? And they have to take any kind of backhaul. We are talking about BharatNet. 42,000 crores have been invested, more is getting invested. I think our Honorable Prime Minister has a vision to connect all our 6 lakhs plus villages to BharatNet. But what do we do after that? I think though they reach Gram Panchayats, and after that, we don't know what to do with it, as that's my understanding today. We just had I had a meeting with our Chief Minister of Maharashtra last week, and we were discussing about this, about what we are planning to do, and he recommended that, look, if you can take this BharatNet and make it available within the village through whatever technology you can, that will be a great help. And we have taken up that challenge. We have taken up one of the village in Nagpur, near Nagpur. And we are trying to connect the whole village, at least 5-6 locations within that village. It could be the healthcare center, it could be the local school, it could be the temple where all the older people congregate in the evening, all of these, or a bazaar or whatever it is, and connect them using Wi-Fi technology. And once we do that, we want to enable use cases on top of it. We are a proud member of Voice Consortium, and Voice members are coming together to enable those use cases on top of it. So we are taking a very systematic approach to taking PM-WANI to the villages, first by addressing the connectivity challenge. Can you go to the next slide? So I'll skip this slide, but we all know that PM-WANI framework. My biggest challenge is, how do I monetize this PM-WANI framework? How do we make money for all the stakeholders within that ecosystem? And that is something that we've learned through another program that has been extremely successful worldwide. Some of you must have heard about this program from Facebook or Meta called Express Wi-Fi. Unfortunately, Meta now wants to focus on virtual reality and their glasses and so on, but they discontinued that program. And I'm proud to say that Indio Networks, we have taken up that program. We built a platform, a monetization platform for these rural hotspots. And that is what we are trying to incorporate into PM-WANI framework. So idea is very simple. There are different stakeholders in this whole architecture. We want to make money for all of those. Can you go to the next slide? So this is a monetization platform that we have kind of borrowed from Express Wi-Fi, from Facebook. The idea here is that you create a hierarchy of people or stakeholders that will, each of them will earn some kind of revenue during the process. So at the end of it is consumer, which you see on the right-hand side. The bandwidth flows from top to bottom, and the revenue flows from bottom to top. That's the idea. And everyone along the way, the retailers are the local shops, which we are talking about. That's the exact premise of PDO, right? Those need to be enabled, and they need actually a platform to do all this. And that is what we have built together. There is a platform that will enable them to sell these small coupons or recharge using UPI or whatever cash or whatever way they can, and earn a small commission on top of it. And then there are PDOAs who we call as distributors or operators in our platform. They will be able to generate a combined revenue from all the PDOs. That revenue model is all embedded into this platform. And obviously, we have the hardware, the low-cost hardware, made in India hardware that goes along with it. So as Indio Networks, we are trying to address, as we are a technology company, and we love to build this technology. So what we are trying to do is these two things that will help us address the current challenges that we are facing with PM-WANI. Can you go to the next slide? And we can use any backhaul. We all are aware that SATCOM is coming, Starlink is coming to India. I think many of you are aware that Starlink has been widely used as one of the backhaul technologies. And in fact, Indio Networks, we have been working with SATCOM technology for the last 6-7 years. We are working with Europe's largest satellite operator called Eutelsat, and building almost 5,000 networks have been built in Africa right now with them. We got a global award from Wi-Fi Now for the work that we did with this Connect Africa project. But idea here is we can use fiber. There is a new technology called Li-Fi. We are talking about satellite. All of them can be brought together. And once they are brought into the village, we want to create kind of an ecosystem that will take that to all the nook and corners of the village and to the villagers. Can you go to the next slide? So where have we done this? As I mentioned to you, we have already been, we are helping a lot of PDOAs in Kerala. We also have done some PM-WANI deployments in Lakshadweep Islands with BSNL. And now we are actually deploying in Nagpur and in Satara district near Pune, exactly using this particular technology. Idea here is to showcase it to the government so that we can take it and replicate it across the country. Can you go to the next slide? And once these systems are built, with voice, there are a lot of members in voice which are building a lot of use cases. That is related to agriculture, e-learning, healthcare, we are talking about water management, all of those. The idea is all the ecosystem players, all the voice companies can come together and they can build their use cases on top of it, IoT-enabled use cases on top of it, to create a very vibrant ecosystem in our villages. That's our vision, and we are looking forward to completing it with all your help. Thank you so much.
Mr. Srinivas from the CEO, founder of MatreComm Technologies.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. And firstly, thanks to the BIF team for providing an opportunity to discuss about transforming villages. It's basically, okay, next slide. Okay. I think maybe I should, can you just take a step back, right, to the original slide? Yeah. I will try to make this session a little bit interactive. Before I give the answers on the next slide, I would probably ask you a few questions, and maybe I think before the lunch, we can have a little bit of interaction, right? How much percentage of economy comes from the rural segment of India? Any guesses? Okay, you saw the answer on the slide, so I don't have, I don't have this thing. But anyone who's not heard him, anyone else? 65? Okay, more? 75? More? 80%? Okay. Well, the answer is 46%, as the gentleman said. And now the next question. How much percentage is the digital broadband penetration in the rural? 50% of the GDP is from the rural segment. And how much is the broadband penetration there? 44%. Okay, I have the data of 2021. You may have the data of 2024. Okay, fair enough. So I think he says 44%. Let's go by it. I have one more metric to ask. How much penetration of the laptops in the rural segment we have across the entire 50% of the India, which is in the rural area? How much percentage of the population per se has a laptop with them? Okay, there's a 6 to 7%. Anyone else? Pardon? 2%. I think he's the closest to it. It's 3%. So I think basically, if means many people ask basically, or in general, I think DDG sir was also answering the question. PM-WANI program is basically not taken off as much as this thing. I would like to probably ask a simple question. Is there a need? Everybody would agree that if there's a 3% penetration of the laptop and 50% of the India's GDP, wherein probably there's a 50% penetration, that means the remaining 50% of the broadband, this thing is there to be tapped, right? 25% of India's GDP contributors don't have internet, right? Now the aspect is that before I go down into the slides, I was just trying to bring up, share a couple of thoughts. PM-WANI is a very new program. Globally, there's no such program. So the onus of not only technologically innovating, but also innovating and creating a business model so that it can be replicated everywhere lies on us. And probably that's where the startups and the Voice Consortium are together doing it out. We are trying to create a business model because taking a successful business model somewhere else done globally and replicating it in India is easy. But when you have to start from the scratch, bring up a technology, create a business model, innovate, replicate it and take it up elsewhere, it's something new for many of us across in the Indian ecosystem. So I think over there, I would like to thank the people in the DOT for at least giving that opportunity for the startups in India to come up with the various new business models and coming to bring the ecosystem together. So as this happens, I will just share a few thoughts on what we basically believe we have done and what is it that's probably happening through the digital village transformation of their end. Thanks. Next slide. Okay, as I said, 46% of the GDP, less than 30%, and only 3% of the people have laptops. Okay, next. Now, basically, I think before PM-WANI, or maybe before the recent times, what would be the cost of an access point, or what would be the time taken to deploy an internet? It was huge. What we are trying to do is, in the rural segment, try to make it as fast, as quick as what would happen in a city, right? The digital divide is not only because of the digital aspect, it's also because of the infrastructural aspect. And we are trying to bridge that in together through this. Yeah? And when we say PM-WANI, trust me, we are not talking about internet connectivity. When people say that internet changes the way you live, work, and play, that's probably mostly applicable for the cities. The moment you dwell down to the villages, have we changed the way they live, work, and play through the internet in the villages? Maybe to a certain extent, but not to the broader extent. And the reason could be, most of the applications are oriented for the cities and the towns, for the urban folks. But I think that's what we're trying to change up through this particular thing, bring up those applications which are required by the local communities and the local entrepreneurs. Next. Yeah. And one more thing, I don't know how many of you heard Aruna ma'am's basically, I don't know what to call it, speech or to message, yeah. How much percentage of internet access is done indoor versus outdoor? 80%. These guys have been very intent listeners. I want the other audience to answer. BIF members over here are excluded from the answers. No chocolates. Others, how much is the indoor versus outdoor access, percentage-wise? 80% is indoor, right? Most of the PM-WANI has been rolled out. 90% plus, 95% plus has been rolled out outdoor. The entire audience is indoor. For that one, what we have done is, and I would like to thank the team from Cyrotech, Pankaj, Manav, and others. They basically enabled us to create this PM-WANI ONU so that we can get PM-WANI into the indoor, into the house, right? So we are trying to bring that thing to the last mile into the house and then basically take it up ahead. So that way, it's, otherwise, I think in the heat, nobody's going to go out on the road to access internet. In the rain, come monsoon, nobody's going to go outside to the thing and go and access the internet. The outdoor access point, it's never going to penetrate the walls and come down to the inside the house, be it the kitchen or the drawing room. We have had some challenges too, as I mentioned, when we have brought this PM-WANI program, the onus to create the entire business model also is ours because it's the first time happening anywhere globally. And maybe once we create this business model, I'm sure globally others will replicate it. Right? It's a new thing, and let's use it as a way, because when we talk about Atmanirbharta, it's not about replicating something which is done elsewhere and then becoming Atmanirbhar. It's also basically the way by which how can we innovate and then create that innovation also as a way of replication. Yeah? Okay, next. Some stats done. If people believe that there's no money in the rural segments, some stats done, wherein you can see that once people get used to that, the data consumption increases, and this is a real-life case study, not something that I made up. Next slide. Yeah, well, again, some stats which will help you to understand that people are there. How many of you believe that people in the rural areas are as much entrepreneurial and as much passionate about doing things? I'm sure everyone does, right? Next slide. Okay, I think maybe I want to go to the next slide. Is that there? Yeah. And shall I tell you, one of the eye-openers, I don't have the time over here, but one of the eye-openers of a use case for PM-WANI came from one villager who came to my office. Firstly, I couldn't believe that by looking at him that he came to buy PM-WANI. And he said he wanted 50, whatever be it. At the end of the day, he bought in the model of the use cases which I never thought of. I can't share it right now, but it was related to the commerce. And he said, I'll just tell you a couple of lines. He said that, sir, I sell my the vegetables which I grow through a middleman, and I get only 1 rupee, but if I deploy PM-WANI in my community and somehow I'm able to get them onto my app, I can earn 5 to 7 rupees, and probably I'd like to take it up. So that was an eye-opener for us, because we don't think that way. We only think about giving a quick connectivity. Yeah. Next. Well, PM-WANI is not about connectivity. It's about enabling services, entrepreneurship, or enabling those services through the entrepreneurs. Next. Well, Rishi mentioned about digital village transformation and also voice. I think somewhere, I don't know if R.K. Bhatnagarji is over here, but I'm sure the message will get communicated. He's doing a phenomenal job in getting the digital village transformation into the mainstream across the states. Somewhere, I think if you can clap for him, that would be great. But either way, yeah. So this is beginning of with Maharashtra, but it's going to be taken up across Goa, Gujarat, and others. You have 25%, 50% of India's economy not having proper broadband access or internet access. If you believe that the age is where the services are not physical but digital services, there's an opportunity. Is there another global model where they have turned that in the rural area into a successful business model? No. Do you have an opportunity to create that business model? It's not us on the stage. Do you have that opportunity? Yes. Can you do it? It's up to you. Thank you. Next. Okay, don't worry. Next. Well, we as a voice group are trying to do a few things. Yeah. Next. Well, why us? If you believe that we can make a difference, that's what I can say. Other than that, go to our website. Next. Okay, all that I can say is that the aspect of doing Atmanirbharta does not start from replication of a global model available somewhere else. It starts from within you in believing that there's an opportunity that exists, there's a gap that exists. Think about it, put the innovative cap on, and you can make it happen. Thank you.
Well,
Put the innovative cap on, and you can make it happen. Thank you.
well, now Mr. Sumit Garg, who's Managing Director for Immunity Network, for his presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. So, first of all, let me give a brief introduction about Immunity Networks. We are almost 2 decades old organization which started off as an SI, but probably COVID inspired us to get into a product business, and we offshot with the inspiration we got from PM-WANI. Those were the times when we had a good 2 years at home, and we spent those entire 2 years burning the midnight oil, creating the Wi-Fi core, which today is powering the PM-WANI deployment, which we currently are running. But then there's another thing I'm inspired by today when I look back these 5 years of my journey on PM-WANI. I probably am more inspired with Edison, because like he found 10,000 ways to not light a bulb, I have found probably more than 100 ways to not make PM-WANI successful. And that is not just me, it is the facts which I have received from the ground and the way the consumers are behaving to it. Often people ask me, what is wrong with PM-WANI? What is wrong with the PDOs? What is wrong? What is the issue? Is it the broadband? Is it the ISP? Is it whatever on that areas? But let me tell you honestly, it starts with the naming itself, the naming of PDO. It should be PDZ, because nobody works in a well when it comes to a Wi-Fi. Would you like to work and have a mobile tower just outside your house and nowhere else? You need a zone. You need an area for PM-WANI to work. You need a village which is end-to-end Wi-Fi where the mobility in the connectivity is created. And that is the first problem which probably nobody is even realizing and talking about. That when we go and we make PM-WANI hotspots, We cannot have a hotspot which caters 100 meters here and 100 meters there, and then there is a blank spot for next 500 meters, and then another hotspot in the school, and then another hotspot in the village temple. Fantastic. But would we like to have internet which is so sparsely spread out? We would not. And let me have a raise of hands. We are probably a very good distributed, diverse spread of audience. How many of us in our life have paid for a Wi-Fi voucher? Can we have a show of hands? Let's have one hero who has ever purchased a Wi-Fi voucher. How can we expect something which none of us in this room has purchased to drive and monetize and make a PDO business model successful? Let us understand any such similar thing. We are talking about internet. Now, what is internet? Internet is the fundamental need today. It was introduced probably 25 years to the common public, and in 25 years, every year it has probably doubled 4 times and still exponentially driving the growth. So if internet is such a fundamental necessity of today, and I would probably compare it to any other necessity like travel, where going from one place to another was a necessity some years back. Okay, let me have one more raise of hands. How many of us in our lifetime used radio taxis where we had to call the taxi used to come, and then we used to go and board to this area? So we do have some people who had done that. And then came Ola and Uber. How is it that Ola and Uber completely killed the radio taxi? How is it that they have moved ahead into that area? They did that not by the regulators framing the policies to mandate the users to use Ola and Uber. They did that by incentivizing the users, by giving them initial vouchers, by giving them referral rewards, by giving them discounted fares, by giving them fares. They pumped money into that business model. So much that today we are dependent on just those two for any of our travel. Nothing of that sort has happened with PM-WANI. The same thing happened with UPI. I mean, all of us, I paid 30 rupees in the initial days of Google Pay, and I got 10 rupees back as incentive. I was excited, and I was like, okay, let's try to make as much UPI payments as I can. But for PM-WANI, for changing the user behavior, there is no such zone, the public data zone. There is no such incentive, and there is no key driver who's putting all of this into place, who's putting the entire infrastructure into place. And it is absolutely wrong to expect that a poor shopkeeper will invest 10,000, 15,000, and then outside his shop, within 100 meters, people will sit on the footpath or on the street and access internet. Gone are those days. There is no such need now on the field. So we need to have consumer convenience in mind, and then we have to look at PM-WANI's approach into the market. And that is going to be the driving force to it. Now, what are the use cases which PM-WANI is being run by? Today, we have only one use case, connectivity. Now, there are so many alternatives to connectivity. 4G, home internet, public access wherever we are going to our office or whatever. So that's not strong enough. And plus, as we just did a survey, none of us ever bought a voucher. We've never bought a voucher of Wi-Fi, so how is it that we expect someone else to do it? So in that case, we need to have strong use cases which should be behind PM-WANI. Now, our minister, sir, talked about a lot of interesting things where we have connectivity driving the healthcare, connectivity driving the education, connectivity driving the job, connectivity driving, and Srinivas spoke about ONDC here. So what is it, why is it that the government may not be able to support, create these use cases where ONDC, Skill India, Ayushman Bharat, all of these are independent, silo-based driven policies which can be powered by the channel which the government can fund and create. Today, the incentive in PM-WANI is zero. PM-WANI is policy enabled. It is policy governed. Fantastic. 100% cyber security compliance, 100% authentication, 100% accountability. But then it is completely market driven. It's like an orphan, that the concept is very novice, very nice, very great, very novel, but it is left for the people to just take it up. Where is the network? Where is it to grow? There is no predominant seeding which has been done. A similar seeding I always see with anything government wants to promote. Take EVs, for example. I had been speaking about it in a couple of areas. Would you buy an EV vehicle today if the government would not pump tons and tons and tons of money through its FAME framework, FAME 1, FAME 2, creating charging stations on the highway, middle of nowhere? The entire network of charging stations is being created. People are being incentivized and motivated about it. And likewise, they have been created. So when those incentives do not exist, PM-WANI as a solution may not be able to drive it. Now, I'm being the culprit of keeping you from your lunch, so I'll cut my session short. But certainly, PM-WANI needs those use cases. PM-WANI needs the right technology providers. PM-WANI needs the right zone to be created. If we create a silo, again, it will not work. If we create without a use case for connectivity, again, it will not work. And lastly, most importantly, ease of use. If we continue to have a mobile app-based access, it may not be the best thing for PM-WANI. We should probably look at a straight-away ease of use where we walk up to a hotspot, connect to a hotspot, and we just enjoy the services. So those are my 2 cents about how PM-WANI can be success. Thank you, everyone.
Passionately, you have put in your points. I mean, but I was just looking at the numbers which the immunity network is having. I mean, you're having almost 1257 PDOs. Yeah, so 1257 is a good number. I think you're doing pretty good there. So now, one point which he raised, that how many people have used or have bought a voucher, I think is a misplaced bit one, because most of us sitting here are having a subscription-based model on our phones, maybe 2 SIMs which are having subscription-based model, so we never run out of network, so that is the prime reason. But we are not, the people sitting in this room does not constitute entire India. There is an entire set of people who cannot afford this kind of these subscription-based models, and they require some method and means wherein they can have an access to the internet at a much cheaper rate, and there these particular models can come in. Now, that is just one way of looking at it. The other, the point the 2 gentlemen sitting at my right made were quite unique. Both of them talked about the rural areas. The good points, I mean, especially the point that, yeah, most of the data since is being used indoors, so what could be the use cases and how the PM-WANI can come in there. Frankly, it's a new one. I mean, we'll definitely like to look into that particular part. I don't know what best could be done in the policy intervention, but surely I'll take your numbers and would like to be in touch with you to just fully understand what could be done at the policy level. At the department, we are very open. We really want this. We feel that there is a clear case that this thing should exist, and this technology is going to complement the TSP's network that they are already having. So it's not competing with them. It's absolutely no comparison between the, if you look at even the numbers, there is no comparison, but there is a clear case where this technology needs to exist. How best it could exist, we have come up with a slew of changes in September 2024. The DOT is always open to look into more changes which can make this scheme more popular. Yeah, it is true that we have not incentivized in this scheme in any manner, but from the day one, from the cabinet approval itself, it was to run through that in this manner only. There is no market incentivization from our end per se, but yeah, but many schemes are running and are successful. So with this, I'll just end here, but yes, the point is that we need PM-WANI. The department is ready to go for other changes which are required to make it more user-friendly, more market-friendly. With that, I'll end. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And we have time for 2 questions only, if you could, and 5 minutes. Yes, sir, you are the second. Sir, could you identify yourself, sir?
You rightly mentioned the no incentive, no tax exemption, and the GST on the video is 18%. And this PM-WANI is for the rural areas, not for the urban areas. And the tax is GST or PDO is 18%. So that has to be need to consider. Thank you.
Yeah, currently, as I've already mentioned, the PDOs rather PDOs are the only telecom service provider right now with DOT which do not have to pay any license fee, which do not have to even register with us. I mean, forget about taking a license or any compliances. But this point you have raised, I have noted.
There is no SOP and no license is required, I agree. But there is no commercial agreement with the PDOs and the TSP also. If any dispute is there, so there is no
No, but we have already clearly stated that there need not be any agreement between TSP and TSP, ISP and the PDO. I mean, you can always take a normal retail connection that the licensor, just 1 minute, just the licensor has, the DOT has already stated, and now the TRA also come up with a tariff order in which they very clearly stated they cannot charge more than that. Now, if anybody is not complying to these orders, if not coming, you can always take up with the local LSA or can come to the DOT, but that is one part.
Yeah, no license is required, I agree with you. But some kind of commercial agreement should be there in black and white that the 200 megabytes will be provided, uninterrupted supply will be there, services will be there, the pricing tariff also will be there. So,
Stopping you from having this agreement.
PDO with the TSP.
So go ahead and do the agreement.
But the law says,
Law does not specify that you have to make an
it
agreement.
is there.
Can we have the next question,
Yes,
sir?
sir. I'm Dr. Jagdish Shivhare, professor and ex-scientist ISRO. Sir, my question, how is the Wi-Fi connectivity strategy in India different than developed countries in terms of value-added priorities and nation-building challenges?
So just to repeat your question, you're saying how the Wi-Fi connectivity in India
Yes, sir. My question, how is the Wi-Fi connectivity strategy in India different than developed countries in terms of value-added priorities and nation-building challenges?
Okay. First of all, I think in developed countries, the telco tariff is relatively higher. In India, we know we are having one of the cheapest tariff in. So when I travel to the developed countries, I see that there are hotspots in almost all the public places. And there are people use them. There is a lot of awareness about Wi-Fi hotspots in the Western countries or in the developed countries, which is lacking in India, partly because we are used to mobile data more than the Wi-Fi data, and which is also a challenge for Wi-Fi or public Wi-Fi in general in India, which we are all encountering. Even when we don't have connectivity, the thought process of connecting to a Wi-Fi hotspots, or we don't even search, even when we go to a hotel to stay, very rarely we get to Wi-Fi hotspot. So that's one of the challenges that we see. The other thing is, in terms of the use cases or value-added services you're talking about, in Western countries now or developed countries, they are putting a lot of value-added services. Like for example, in hotels or in different venues, they are putting in a lot of, like in your hotels, for example, your Wi-Fi, public Wi-Fi of the hotel is also used for your private streaming. There are value-added services that they are putting on top of it. So that kind of innovation is still lacking in India, partly because of a lack of awareness.
Thank you, sir.
So, yes.
Very quickly, 1 minute. Just to add to what Rishi just said, the difference between the developed world and in India, in our country, is the government. I'll be very honest with you, and the telecom operators. Again, I mentioned, I don't know, Vikram is going to look at me with a scowling face. But it's the very simple that all across the world, whether it's the US or UK or Europe, Korea, Japan, the government has a fund available to proliferate broadband through Wi-Fi, and Wi-Fi is a huge component of that, which the government uses to incentivize the local ISPs and the broadband providers. Unfortunately, that does not exist in India, and the ISPs in India are a very, very pressurized lot here, and which also, I would agree agree that even maybe the PM-WANI gentlemen who are, running the PM-WANI business, like Sumit was mentioning, are you guys also in the same track? I really don't know because, unfortunately, I don't know much about PM-WANI because I don't believe that, that we need to build up our own stack. You can go for something like open roaming, you can go for passpoint technologies, and all those things are available and make it very simple. But nevertheless, if we want to embark the PM-WANI route, we go about it. But the major reason is that the government does not treat Wi-Fi, like I mentioned in my opening remarks, the opening of the 6 gigahertz is the first ever real systemic reform for Wi-Fi in India, arguably ever. And I end it with that.
Thank you, sir. Can we close the session now? Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. And before that, I will request our chair, Mr. Kishore Bhagtani ji, to kindly do the honors of presenting mementos to all our eminent speakers as a token of gratitude and appreciation. We present to Mr. Rishi Ghare, CEO, Indio Networks. Thank you, sir. We present to Mr. Srinivas Gudipudi, founder and CEO, MatreComm Technologies. And we present to Mr. Sumit Garg, Managing Director, Humanity Networks. And I would like to invite Brigadier Anil Tandon, Director General BIF, to do the honors of presenting a token of gratitude and appreciation to our distinguished chair, Mr. Kishore Bhagtani. And requesting Brigadier Tandon to join our distinguished panel for a quick group photograph, please. And ladies and gentlemen, inviting everyone to kindly join us for lunch. We have a little short lunch break as we are already behind schedule. The next session will begin sharp at 2 o'clock, requesting everybody to be seated and back in time. Thank you.